If you've bought Dr. Martens Bleedproof White for the first time, you'd be forgiven for thinking that you've got a dud when you open your jar and you're met with an ink that is completely set. But don't worry, it's entirely fine that it's like that. All it needs is a little bit of preparation before you start. Now you'll see I've got a little bit of water with me and a small coffee spoon. It's not quite a teaspoon, it's a little bit smaller than that. So we're just going to add a little bit of water to our ink and we're going to mix it up to the right consistency before we start writing. So as I say, this is a coffee spoon rather than a teaspoon, so it's a little bit smaller than one you might see if it was a traditional teaspoon. So I've probably got about 1 ml or 2 of water on my spoon, and I'm just going to add that into my pH Martens Bleedproof White. You can see there that it just about covers the top, just enough. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix that in. You can see I'm just using the base of my spoon to do that. And you can see that we're already getting a better consistency. Now you don't need to put your spoon in too far. You can see mine's gone in probably just less than 1 centimetre. And I'm just mixing up that top section there. Now there is a little bit of a skill to it just to get the right consistency. But you can do that as you go along. Let's just pop that on there. In fact, I'm just going to take it off the spoon so that the ink doesn't set on there. So you can see I've literally just wiped that off, and it looks none the worse for my Cavalier treatment of it. Equally, when we're talking about Cavalier treatments, you'll notice that I've just used normal tap water on here. You technically by rights should be using something like distilled water or at least boiled water, but quite often I have used just normal tap water, and I live in a hard water area. The other thing to think about is whether you want to mix it in the actual jar itself or whether you want to decant a small amount of the thickened Bleedproof White into a smaller container and mixing the water in there. You can do either. Personally, as you can see from here, I tend to do a lot of my mixing in the main jar, and it's been none the worse for it. So I've just mixed in some of the water. As I say, that's 1 or 2 mils worth of water, and I think we've got the right consistency, but we won't know until we actually try it. So I'm just going to add a little bit to my nib just there. You'll know very quickly when you start to use it whether it's right or not. If it's too thick, then it'll be gloopy, but it would be better for it to be a little bit gloopy and you to be able to thin it out rather than it going too thin and you needing to add more of the set ink from further down in the jar. So let's see what this looks like. So actually, as you can see, just railroaded on there. There's a good thickness there, but it's not too thick and gloopy. It's easily coming off the nib onto the paper. And you can see there's a slight rise to it as well, which is what we want to see. So now we've just drawn a few lines just to check it. Let's write a word. So you can see here that we've actually got it right first time. We've got some nice thick downstrokes, but equally we've got some very feather light and very thin upstrokes. So we can be sure on this that we've actually got the right consistency of ink. If it was too thick, then these lovely thin upstrokes that you can see here would certainly look a lot thicker, and the ink wouldn't flow quite as quickly off the nib. As I say though, it is really easy to fix, so if it is a little bit too thick, just add another ml or so of water. You certainly don't need to add the amount you added first time round. And equally, if it's too thin, then if you're using your main jar, you can just go a little bit deeper and stir in a little bit more just to thicken it up. I hope that's helped you. If you do have any questions, then do drop me a message or leave me a comment and I'll be happy to help you.